Ever have one of those days where your to-do list is just judging you? Like it's got this smug little smirk on its face as if to say, really? You're choosing Instagram again? And the worst part is, it's not even really subtle. It's just always there, hovering, waiting, mocking. Let's talk about a study that was done in 1996. It changed the way we view willpower. A group of psychologists gathers participants into a room. The catch was that the room smelled like freshly baked chocolate chip cookies. That soft, gooey, chocolatey goodness that is a freshly baked cookie. The control group, they were actually able to have a cookie. But the experimental group, they had to actually have a radish instead. The real challenge started when the students were given a puzzle. The puzzle, actually impossible. Honestly, it was probably a slide puzzle. I swear every time I try to do one of those things, I think I have it figured out, I think I have a game plan, and then realize that I have no idea what I'm doing with those things. Jumping back to the experiment, the real results came for when we looked at the control group versus the experimental group. Those who were able to eat the cookies and be in that wonderful smell room, whereas you had to resist the temptation and given a radish instead. The results were that the people who had to eat a radish gave up far more quickly than the people who had to eat the chocolate chip cookie, because their willpower had already been used and tested and burned out. Turns out willpower is a lot like our phone battery. It drains, sometimes fast. And the more apps you have running in the background, stress, distractions, decisions, the faster it dies. Every email you resist checking, every snack you turn down, every choice you weigh, chips away at your self-control and your willpower. The psychologists call it ego depletion. Basically, your brain gets tired of saying no all the time. The more you force yourself to the grind, the more you set yourself up to stall out. That's why you could do really good at your diet all day, but then when midnight rolls around, you snack on the bag of chips. It's just because your battery had been depleted and maybe you were a little bit in a weaker state. But there is hope, because while motivation is flaky, there's something in your brain that it just can't ignore. And it's something called the Zeigarnik Effect. The Zeigarnik Effect is this weird mental glitch where your brain hates unfinished business. Once it starts a task, it creates this little loop inside your head that keeps nudging you and pushing you until you close it, till you finish it, check it off your list. It's like when you start a Netflix show and you have to binge watch it to the very end, you have to watch all 6 seasons, your brain just craves that closure. Once you start something, even a little small thing, your brain nags you until you finish it, or until you bury it so far down that you no longer remember it. That little tiny nudge, that's leverage. And that's how we're going, and that's what we need to use. Even if it's the tiniest start, it can kind of trigger that itch and keep it going. That means the hardest part of being productive is starting. But that also can mean it's the biggest win. It overcomes that initial inertia. It gets you moving. Hopefully gets the ball rolling, and you can keep using that to fuel itself, giving some smart pushes along the way. At the right time, one action, one push-up. That's all it takes to get going. Productivity is a cycle. Motivation fuels action. Action gives you results. Results give you more motivation. It goes round and round and round as long as you stay mentally aware of where you are. That cycle keeps spinning. You start to feel a little invincible. You're laser focused. You're unstoppable. Motivation into action, into reward, back into motivation. It's not super linear. It's more of a loop. The cool part is you can enter it from anywhere. You don't have to wait for inspiration or motivation or a reward. You just need to do something that gives your brain that quick little win. So if you're trying to be more productive, don't wait around for inspiration to strike. Start hacking the system, so to speak. Start with some action, even if it's small. Set a timer for 20 minutes just to get the ball going. As you kind of get up and get moving, the motivation will follow. Think of it kind of like jump-starting your car. Even if the spark is a little small, the engine can still roar to life and hopefully charge its battery back up, or maybe you need to replace the alternator because I've been there too many times that I'd like to count. But of course, I know what you're going to say. What if I wake up and I feel like a potato? I have zero motivation. I have absolutely nothing going. The only thing I feel like doing is maybe rolling over so I can charge my phone to continue watching Reels. Does that sound familiar to anyone? You don't need to conquer your entire day. You just need to start taking one step. One spoonful of momentum, if you will.
A spoonful of
momentum
helps the medicine go down.
Just do 1 minute of work. Anything. Write a sentence, write in your journal. Get up, wash a few dishes, make your bed. It doesn't matter. Just do one thing to give your brain a reason to keep going, so that you're not just busy loafing around all day. That one small win can give you that momentum. You feel a little spark, you start moving, and suddenly your cycle kind of starts humming along. You look up and realize that you've actually done something. You've accomplished something real, and it can always start with something smaller than you might think. Start with some action. Let motivation catch up a little bit later. It always does. Trust the process, not just the feeling. Also, have you ever noticed how some students can just cram an entire semester of knowledge in just about 12 hours? Suddenly they're awake, they're alive, they're able to crank out formulas and theories that they didn't even know existed 2 weeks ago, but they weren't able to do any of that in the last 3 weeks. But when finals finally roll around, it starts to kick them into high gear. The idea is that pressure can kind of create this urgency. Urgency unlocks focus. Now, of course, there is a healthy balance between that. You don't want to feel like you're constantly backed against a wall, needing to figure something out or else everything's going to crumble around you. But you also don't want to be so lackadaisical in your life. When a deadline is truly given and you have that mindset, but give yourself ample time and work to actually accomplish it, the productivity cycle kind of gets kicked up another notch. It gets kicked up to 11.
Extra push over the cliff. You know what we do?
Put it up to 11.
11, exactly.
The deadline kicks your brain into a fight or flight kind of motion. You stop overthinking, you stop checking your phone, getting distracted. You just go, you work, you get things done. That's what urgency kind of does. It helps clear up some of the fog. And the cool part is you can kind of manufacture that urgency. This was something that's part of the Pomodoro technique that I talked about a few videos ago, as well as some of the time blocking skills that you can learn to be a little bit more productive. Create these fake deadlines. Gamify the task. Give yourself some side quests. Trick your brain into thinking that the clock is ticking, need to kind of kick it up, and I need to get this done. Because once you actually believe that, you start moving and you start working towards your goals. Another tool that I use all the time for productivity is to-do lists. You saw it at the beginning of the episode, but it's something that I do quite often, usually on Sundays or Monday mornings when I kind of want to plan out the week. The idea of a to-do list lets you check off and get those little dopamine hits as well. But make sure that when you create your to-do list, break it down as much as you can. Simplify things as much as you can, so that way you can have as many as those dopamine hits as you possibly can get. So instead of going with clean entire house, break it down into room by room. Break a project down into the smallest parts. What part of class do you need to get done this week, or what part of a test do you need to study for? Every time you check off one of those tiny tasks, your brain rewards you. And I'm talking that good stuff, those dopamine hits. It's like giving your inner productivity monster a snack, and the hungrier it gets, the more you feed it. Momentum builds by one checkbox at a time. So break big projects into those bite-sized pieces. Instead of having write my 12-page report, it becomes open a document, write a title, get some ideas down, use ChatGPT to get some outlines, because progress fuels progress. Tiny wins start to really create traction in your life, allow you to actually get things done and moving forward on the path you want to follow. Now let's talk about something a little bit deeper. Deep work, the ability to focus without distraction. And especially on tasks where you need to be very, very present in what you're doing. It's rare, it's actually really powerful, and it's how real progress can happen. Studies of some elite violinists found something really interesting. The best violinist didn't practice more hours than everybody else. They practiced with much deeper focus. It was about 90-minute blocks of pure, distraction-free effort. Then they rested. They weren't burning themselves out, they weren't pushing themselves until their fingers fell off. They were recovering and then coming back stronger. And they focused on the hardest parts first in the music, making sure they understood that once I get this hardest and most difficult part down, then everything else can kind of come naturally. So focus on the big, challenging things first. Start chipping away at them and getting them out of the way, and do it in those 90-block focus periods. And then make sure to take ample rest time. Give yourself a little bit of a break, take a breather, and then get back into it. Instead of grinding it out for 9 hours straight, hoping that you can memorize all the answers for the test the next day. That's where we win. It's not by working more, but working deeper, being more productive and more cognitive with our time. Honor your energy, schedule your sprints, but protect your focus like it's gold, because honestly, it is in today's day and age. We have such a tiny attention span that when we focus in on something and really need to get something done, we really need to milk it for all it's good for. And with that, I think we need to kind of get rid of the myth that we need to grind all day, every day to be successful. I don't think so. In fact, pushing yourself nonstop like that leads to really shallow work, a lot of stress, and really clear burnout. Instead, block your day out. 90 minutes of focus, 15 minutes of rest. Stretch, move, step outside, get away from the work, let your brain breathe. Then go back into it. 90 minutes again. Then rest again. Rinse, repeat. It's not lazy. It's about being strategic. And we need to protect our energy like an athlete protects their body, because once our energy is depleted, so is our momentum. Then we have to get it moving again. And recovering from burnout is way harder than just taking a 15-minute break after 90 minutes of really solid, concentrated effort. With productivity always comes distractions. So the sneaky little bandits that steal our time every single day. Some of us even name them. Hi, Instagram. Here's a fix that works for me. Remove temptation. Don't just turn off notifications. Physically separate yourself. Put your phone in another room. Bury it in the backyard. Your call. You can do whatever you want. But distance equals focus. You won't miss it. And if you do, that's a sign. A sign that maybe, just maybe, we've gotten a little too used to that constant stimulation. Discomfort is part of the process. Another big roadblock is anxiety. Kind of that overwhelming feeling of, I can't do this. I don't know how to do this. It sneaks in and stalls us before we even get started. Ask yourself, what exactly are we afraid of? Is it something inside of our control? Is it a real problem? Or is it just a story that I'm telling myself? This is your brain trying to protect you from kind of imagined danger. And I'm not saying it isn't real, but it's something that I think we can do a better job of understanding and really grappling with. Work isn't danger, it's progress. And honestly, sometimes the fix isn't just motivation, it's trying to get a little bit of clarity in that situation. The more you name the fear, the less power it has. It's not like Voldemort.
We do not speak his name.
We can say it, we can say what we're actually afraid of, and then actually grapple and understand on what we can do to actually improve that. Another real key to success in productivity is making sure we are tracking our work. Most of us think we're productive because we feel busy, but how do we actually know we made progress? We have to keep track of it in some way. So start a log. One column, start with your time. The other column, what exactly you did and for how long. It's like a food diary, but for your brain. And honestly, you'd be shocked to find out how much you actually forgot that you did and how much time you actually waste in a day. And as you start to see that evidence, it fuels you. It keeps you going. Tracking makes this invisible progress a lot more visible. We can see where we've been and where we're hopefully going. That's the best motivator there is. We don't just want results, we want to actually see them. So here's your productivity toolkit. Start small. Micro list everything. Work in focused blocks. Track your progress and remove distractions. We don't need to just hustle harder. We need to cycle smarter. Focus on flow and not so much force. That's how we can get work done without completely wrecking ourselves. Productivity isn't a grind, it's much more of a rhythm. It's like music. Breathing. You don't just power through, you have to sync up with it. The cycle works. Motivation into action, into reward, back into motivation, action, reward, to create that momentum and keep moving it forward. Ride it as far as you possibly can. And when you lose that rhythm, start it back up again. That's the beauty. It's kind of always available, but it takes a little bit of effort to get it going again. So, of course, don't just wait for the perfect moment. Just do one thing right now. That's all it takes to kind of get that wheel turning. If you enjoyed this episode, make sure to leave a like and let me know in the comments down below. And make sure to check out one of these other episodes that'll be popping up here on screen. Thanks for tuning in to the My Career Path podcast. And until next time, I will catch you guys later. See ya.